right. Um, that was a perfect setup for what I have to talk to you about today. So let me just go through as quickly as I can the journey that I've been on. Let's go to the first slide here. I was a producer on the daytime talk show, The Doctors. I won an Emmy Award celebrating the best that science and medicine has to offer. But then I stumbled on to an investigation of vaccines. I found out there was a whistleblower inside the CDC that had committed scientific fraud. He said that we are committing scientific fraud in the vaccine safety studies, especially when it comes to the vaccine autism story. So I made a documentary called Vaxxed. When I made this documentary, I ended my television career because 70% of all advertising on television is the pharmaceutical industry. So if you're going to question pharma, then you might as well be walking away from your career. It didn't matter. We had 10,000 documents from this whistleblower showing us that they were committing scientific fraud inside of the CDC, and there was no way I wasn't going to tell that story. And so we got kicked out of the Tribeca Film Festival, which was some of the best negative advertising you could imagine. Every headline in every paper was baby killers, you're destroying humanity, and so there were lines down the block, and we started touring the country to sold-out audiences every single day. At the second screening, I stood up at a Q&A in front of the audience, and I said, would everybody with a vaccine-injured child please stand up? And 3/4 of the room stood up. I'd made a documentary about autism and vaccines, and I knew it was an issue, but I didn't realize it was that big an issue. I'd only interviewed like 10 families. And so 4 screenings a day, 5 days a week, for an entire year, I asked that question, and all across America, 3/4 of the audience stood up. I couldn't believe it. There was an ocean of injury, and no one was talking about it. Every parent that wanted to tell their truth or tell their story was being attacked, said that they were crazy. And mainstream news just kept saying, safe and effective, safe and effective. Don't listen to the anti-vaxxers. So as we were touring, parents kept walking up and saying, you know, I'd like to tell my story. Is that me? It must be. I don't know why. There we go. So parents were walking up and said, I'd like to tell my story. And so we started rolling cameras, and we did thousands of interviews across America of vaccine injury stories. And I realized that it wasn't just autism, and it wasn't just the MMR vaccine. Every single vaccine was being implicated for different reasons. My baby died right after a flu shot, or my child was paralyzed after a Gardasil vaccine, or we never got to the MMR vaccine. Our child regressed into autism after the DTaP vaccine, which you get at 18 months. But there was one interview we did that really changed my life forever. That was my family. That was the bus. That bus now sits on our campus, and we have thousands of names of the injured children that their parents wrote onto the side of the bus as a traveling memorial. But this is the story of Colton.
Colton was a 13-year-old, healthy, strong boy. He loved anything that has to do with an adrenaline rush. Motocross was his passion. We went to the doctor's office, and the doctor says, hey, he's the age that you should get the HPV vaccine. I said, okay. So he was administered the vaccine, and on the 3rd round, 2 weeks after, he started having a really bad neck ache. And then this is the last day he got to ride that big boy bike. And that day he came home, he was pale, starting to feel nauseous, really sore neck. He didn't feel good. He went to bed, and the next day I checked on him. He still didn't want to get out of bed. I just thought, man, you're just really weak and exhausted. And that evening, when he sat up to take a drink of water, he said, Mom, can you give that to me in my left hand? I can't use my right arm very good. It's weak. And he tried to lift up, and all of a sudden he just flopped back, and his head just hit the pillow, and I went, Colton, are you going paralyzed? They immediately took him down to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake. When the doctor came out and asked me questions, they said, well, has he been sick? Has he had any changes or anything? I said, no, he hasn't been sick. He had the HPV vaccine on February 1st, and they went, oh, Well, we'll be reporting that to VARS, and they did.
I did do a lot of sports. It was my favorite. But now I have to sit on the sideline, just watch everybody. I'm angry that they're still giving out the vaccine. They don't care that people are getting hurt. It's a joke. You gotta do your research. Like, you can't just trust a doctor anymore.
Unfortunately, Colton took his life at the age of 18 because he felt like he'd become such a burden to his parents. But as I stood there watching that interview, my co-producer was doing the interview, I was watching this box on the ground with a hose going through the hole in his throat, breathing for him. And I thought about all the people, all the news pundits that say, these anti-vaxxers are going to bring back polio. They're going to bring back the iron lung. And I said, wait a minute. I'm staring at an iron lung. You're not laid in a tube anymore. It's been reduced down to a box and a hose that goes through your throat. But he's not in this iron lung because he got polio. He's not in this iron lung because he didn't vaccinate. He's in this iron lung because he did what he was told to do. He did what the school made him do, and his life is destroyed forever. So I raced home and looked up every vaccine insert that we give our children to see, is this listed as a side effect? And there it was. On every single vaccine, transverse myelitis, paralysis. Guillain-Barré syndrome is a side effect, paralysis. Encephalitis, brain swelling. And I said, why does no one know about this? We are not ending paralytic diseases. We are causing paralytic diseases with our vaccine program. So I doubled down. We traveled the country. And one day, I was in Mississippi in front of the state capitol with our bus, and someone said to me, Del, can you come in and talk to our senators and our assembly members? You know, we have some meetings set up. I was like, I don't know, I'll give it a try. As soon as I went in and talked to the first senator, I said, I'm going to do a lot more of this. This is where we have to make change. So I kept going back to Mississippi over several years, and by the third year, I got a call, and they said, Del, here in Mississippi, the health department wants to see you give a talk. In fact, the entire health committee, the Senate health committee, they're all going to be in the room. It had never happened before. They usually won't listen to what I have to say. So I prayed that morning before I went in, as I always do, what should I say today? And I got struck with this overwhelming thought that, Del, you're in Mississippi. This is the Bible Belt. Up until that moment, I'd only talk science. I'd only talk all the studies that I'd been researching on vaccines. But it's like, today I'm going to change this conversation. Today I'm going to bring the world together because my dad was a minister, and I want to talk about what I think is happening here. And so I started the talk out like this. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. We all know this story. And as the story goes on, he says to Adam and Eve, I've given you everything. I have made you perfect. I've created a perfect earth with beautiful running water, fresh air, animals, dominion over everything. Everything you need is here. Only one rule, just one. Do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, lest you shall surely die. I remember asking my father, I was like, I don't understand, Dad. I thought you teaching me to understand good and evil. He's like, yes, we are, Del, but this is different. This is about the knowledge of God. This is about believing you are God. This is about an arrogance that man is capable of. You must know that God can count every hair on your head and every hair on every head around you. And I'll take it a step further. God knows every millions of bacteria and viruses that are crawling on your hands right now. And the millions and billions of viruses in your stomach right now. Never, ever get so arrogant that you think you can kill one of those viruses or 3 of those bacteria and not mess up this beautiful dance that God has had going on in this world for our entire existence. So as the story goes, God leaves Adam and Eve for some time, leaves them alone. And he comes back. And he's looking for them. Where are you? And suddenly they peer out from behind the trees. and they're wearing masks. They're hiding themselves. And he says, who told you you could not breathe the air on this planet? Who told you you were naked? Who told you you weren't perfect? Who told you you needed 72 vaccines in your body to live on my earth? You were created in my image. Who told you this? This is the biggest religion in the world today. I do it a service by calling it a religion because it's actually one of the ugliest cults we could ever imagine. Let me explain myself. You see, this cult has even created its own original sin, brand new original sin. You see, you're not created in the image and likeness of God. No, you are born dangerous to everyone around you. You are born filled with disease. You must be afraid of dying from this disease, and you should know you can give it to everyone around you. And so to remedy this original sin in our cult, on your first day of life, hello, welcome to the world. Here comes your first breath of God's air, and right behind it, your first sexually transmitted disease, hepatitis B. Mandated for every child. Guessing almost all of you got it, unfortunately. Why? We're talking about a disease you will only catch if you are sharing heroin needles or sleeping with prostitutes. Full stop. Why would a day one old baby need this vaccine? It is the most disgusting and sick perversion you could ever imagine, and we all do it without question. Here's my baby. Sacrifice my baby. Inject them with this sexually transmitted disease. Let's take a look at it, shall we? Because you can do this with every single vaccine. Just type in FDA licensed vaccines when you Google it, and a list of all the vaccines that you are going to give your kids, hopefully not after this, or that you've received yourself, and you can click on them. In this case, we'll click on Recombavax HB. This is one of 2 hepatitis B vaccines given on day 1 of life. And you'll see that it says package insert. See, this is the warning label wrapped around the vaccine you never received. Your doctor will not give it to you. But you can look it up now online, FDA, and when you click on it, I want you to go to section 6.1 of every single one. It's always 6.1. Every section has serious adverse events or what the ingredients are. In this case, let's look at the second paragraph. This is science, apparently. This is what they call science. In 3 clinical studies, 434 doses of Recombavax HB were administered to 147 healthy infants and children. 147 total kids. In a study that is going to decide the fate of every baby in the world. And let me ask you a question, because this study is not done by the FDA, it's not done by the CDC, it's done by the manufacturer themselves. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're in charge of your own safety study, let me just ask you a simple question. It says 147 kids, 0 to 10 years of age. How many of them do you think were actually day 1 old? Probably 0. Probably, I'm just guessing here. Most of them were probably this tall, 110-pound, 10-year-olds, and they said, look, it's safe. No placebo group, none. No one to compare it to, and look at this. They were monitored for 5 days. That's it. That is the entire science of the hepatitis B vaccine. 147 kids, 5 days. So if a kid dies on day 6, the vaccine didn't cause it. We didn't see it in our trials. If they have autism 2 years later, no, we have no evidence of that. The science does not show us that the hepatitis B vaccine causes autism because we watched it for an entire 5 days. You cannot make this up. But then they have post-marketing surveillance. This is all of the people that started lining up with their injured children, so many that the government makes them write what their side effects are. Here's just nervous system disorders. Guillain-Barré syndrome, paralysis, just like I told you. Multiple sclerosis, geez, who would want that? exacerbation of multiple sclerosis, myelitis, including transverse myelitis, paralysis, seizure, febrile seizure. Go to the last one, encephalitis. Anyone that tells you that vaccines don't cause autism, let me make it really simple for you. Autism is a symptom of a brain injury. A mother said to me, you know, vaccines didn't cause my child's autism, it caused my child's encephalitis, which they admit to. And they could have ended up having Tourette's, they could have ended up having schizophrenia, they can end up having autism, but the government will never let you believe that because they have forced you to take this product on your first day of life. And what is the result? Lest you shall surely die. We have the highest rate of first day one old baby deaths in the world. Geez, I thought we had the best doctors in the world. I thought we had the biggest hospitals. We don't want to socialize our medicine because it's so incredible. That incredible? I started a nonprofit because I wanted to investigate every single vaccine. I hired an attorney to sue the government because you can't sue manufacturers. It's the only product that was never tested for safety and also cannot be sued, so they don't have to make it better. They don't have to do a safety study, so we started winning lawsuits against the FDA, the NIH, CDC, Health and Human Services. And we ended up proving that not one childhood vaccine has ever been through a double-blind, placebo-based trial. Ever, full stop. Robert Kennedy Jr. has said it many, many times. The media will say, that's not true. I assure you that's true, because you've never seen an expert come on TV and go, here they are. We won lawsuits against the government and proved that this is the case. And why is it important? Here's one of our lawsuits. And here is the reigning godfather of the vaccine program, who wrote Plotkin on Vaccines, which is the Bible on vaccines. There was no one bigger than this, and we were lucky that God gave us the opportunity to have this guy under oath. Listen to this.
In your work related to vaccines, how many fetuses have been part of that work?
My own personal work, 2.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked Plaintiff's Exhibit 41. Okay? Are you familiar with this article, Dr. Plotkin?
Yes,
Okay. Are you listed as an author on this article?
yes,
This study took place at the Wistar Institute, correct?
yes,
You were at the Wistar Institute, correct?
yes.
How many fetuses were used in the study described in this article?
Yeah, 76.
76.
Mhm.
And these fetuses were all 3 months or older when aborted, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And these were all normally developed fetuses, correct?
yes.
What organs did you harvest from these fetuses?
Well, I didn't personally harvest any, but a whole range of tissues were harvested by coworkers.
Okay. And these pieces were then cut up into little pieces, right?
Yes,
And they were cultured?
yes,
Okay. Some of the pieces of the fetuses were pituitary gland that were chopped up into pieces to, okay, included the lung of the fetuses,
yes,
okay, included the skin,
yes,
kidney,
yes,
spleen,
yes,
heart,
yes.
and tongue.
I don't recall, but yeah, probably yes.
Are you aware that one of the objections to vaccination by the plaintiff in this case is the inclusion of aborted fetal tissue in the development of vaccines and the fact that it's actually part of the ingredients of vaccines?
Yeah, I'm aware of those objections.
Okay.
The Catholic Church has actually issued a document on that which says that individuals who need the vaccine should receive the vaccines regardless of the fact, and that I think it implies that I am the individual who will go to hell because of the use of aborted tissues, which I am glad to do.
Okay. You have said that, quote, vaccination is always under attack by religious zealots who believe that the will of God includes death and disease.
Yes,
You stand by that statement?
I absolutely do.
Okay. Are you an atheist?
Yes.
That is the godfather of your vaccine program. That is the godfather of the cult that we are all taking part in. You thought it was crazy when Shakespeare wrote in Macbeth, the witches standing around, eye of newt and toe of frog, hair of bat and tongue of dog. We are chopping up babies and injecting them into you. We're chopping up monkeys and hamsters and injecting them into you, filled with viruses and bacteria. And do you actually believe that's safe? My God, God forgive us for what we have done. We've proved through our work, this is what we know. When we got 11 vaccines in 1980s, our chronic disease rate was 12.8%. As soon as we took away liability and protected the manufacturers so they could never be sued, it skyrocketed to 54 vaccines. And remember, there's 3 or 4 different viruses in many of them, so it's about 72 vaccines by the time you're 18. And in that same time, we watched our chronic disease rate go from 12.8% to 54%. 1 in 2 children are chronic illness their entire lives. That is the greatest decline in human health that has ever been recorded. So anyone that says to me, I'm dangerous, no, I'm not dangerous. Because whatever is doing this, whether it's the fluoride in our water or the pesticides in our sprayed on our crops or the vaccines or the plastics, all of it was said to be safe by our regulatory agencies of the United States of America. So anyone that tries to tell you Robert Kennedy Jr. is dangerous, I have news for you. We've got the greatest man who has ever stepped into HHS. I know because I was director of communications when he ran for president, because we were never going to let this happen again.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you. So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated.
This is not about freedom. This is about the most powerful cult in the world that gave me my job. And I'm going to take a product that was not properly tested and make every one of you take it. Not just the kids, but the adults too. All the way across the world. I assure you, we have never seen a virus wipe out this species from the dawn of man. Probably because God still exists. But if you keep rushing products on the market with no safety studies and using government agencies to force all of us to take it, we will make a mistake. And we will prove God right, lest we shall surely die. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? I think God made this moment happen. We have an opportunity to save the children of this world. This is a movie I just released. We won the Malibu Film Festival. I challenged the head of infectious disease at Henry Ford Health, one of the biggest research hospitals in the world. I said, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Take your database and compare vaccinated to unvaccinated children and ask who's actually healthier. It's the 5th study like it that's ever been done. This is the biggest, and it's the first time it was done to prove me wrong. Unfortunately, is the most damning indictment of vaccines that has ever been created. They refused to publish it. They wouldn't publish it, it was so bad. They set out to prove us wrong and only proved us right. So I took hidden cameras and recording equipment, and I sat down with the head of Henry Ford that did this study. This is what our film is about.
We are now the sickest country in the world. It is now believed that over 54% of our kids have a permanent chronic disease. Shouldn't we look closest at the one product designed to alter our immune system for life? There'd be one easy study to rule it out, the vaccinated versus unvaccinated study.
As fate would have it, Dell met Marcus Servos.
He agreed to do a vaxxed versus unvaxxed study.
Kids that are vaccinated, it doesn't look so good.
4.47 times the amount.
5.5 times risk.
6 times increase.
Amongst the unvaccinated group, there were 0.
Like, if this is true, this is devastating.
It needs to be published.
This is information the public should have had in 2020, and I forced the issue.
Did you see how Ford responded? They said this report was not published because it did not meet the rigorous scientific standards we demand as a premier medical research institution.
They have forced our hand. We're gonna have to show them the footage.
I'm gonna bring hidden cameras and recording equipment so that no matter what happens at this dinner, I can prove it happened.
Good to see you. What do you think about the study you guys have done?
Well, I think it's a good study, but it does have limitations.
Do you find any flaws in the study? I mean, is there a way they can do the study better?
Not that I put it out just how it is. I don't want to say it's not the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do, but I just don't want to. Somebody's going to come back and they're going to say, the study was flawed.
The unpublished Henry Ford analysis is fundamentally flawed.
How about looking at this as important scientific information that can inform how the proper study should be done? Won't be taken like that. And then I can say, because there's a political agenda to it.
Is what your study shows, is it important?
Yeah, it is important. I'm not going to do it.
If I can't get the study out, then what hope is there for every kid in the future? I said to you, if you do this study, you're going to come under fire. You said, I don't care about that. I'm all about the data, and I'm about to retire anyway. That's literally what you said.
Yeah.
So your energy's definitely changed on that. But
energy's changing. Publishing something like that, might as well retire. I'd be finished.
This is an inconvenient study for the entire vaccine agenda.
everyone today, thank you. Everyone today is talking about courage. This is a story about a man who did not have enough courage to save children's lives. But you can save lives by sharing this film with everyone you know. This movie is a game changer because it's going to tell everyone the truth. And it is time for the truth. I want to finish by saying this. Your Bible told you were created in the image and likeness of God. It told you that your body was a temple. When did we lose faith? When did we actually believe that doctors were right? That we needed to inject ourselves with bacteria and viruses and formaldehyde and aluminum and mercury, polysorbate 80 as a way to live on this earth. And then our own churches started saying we should do it to be right with God, to be right with each other. You want to talk about an antichrist. You want to talk about a benevolent force telling us what the way to do things for our fellow man was to inject ourselves with disease. There's one other clue we get in the Bible about what our place is on this earth. When Moses goes up on the mountain, he asks God, "Who am I to say has sent me to the children of Israel?" Do you remember what he said? It wasn't God. It wasn't Jehovah. I am has sent you. Weird. Why would he name himself in a way that I can't talk about myself without being a part of him? I'm created in the image and likeness of God, and the name of I am, of my God, is I am. So, does taking the Lord's name in vain, maybe does it mean this? Or is it possible it's this? Why don't you join me in speaking the Lord's name for a moment? Who is powerful? Come on now. Who is powerful? Who is healthy? Who is courageous? Who is going to change the world? Let it be so. Thank you.